So that is true. And that's what the sad part is. So Lance, Atlantic City had the money 30 years ago, and they said, listen, you got all these social service problems, let's spend some money on these services. As we did, no one else did. So the rest of South Jersey, no one has missions, no one has all these other services and things. It all got dumped in Atlantic City, and Atlantic City can't afford all these services now.
So, alright, so the casinos was giving the money, but the people wasn't redistributing the money back into the community?
Well, you figure only 10 to 20% of the people working in casinos lived in Atlantic City. Everyone else moved to the mainland. So the Egg Harbor Townships, the Galloways, the Northfields, they all benefited because people moved into those towns, bought houses, and went to the casinos, came home. So we were deprived of all those adults that were in a normal town going to be your leaders in your faith-based communities, be your scout masters, be your little league coaches, be your football coaches. So Atlantic City came up on the short end that way. That's what I think the university is good at, having all these kids that are going to be helping with that. And hopefully they have such a positive experience during the 4-year college that they stay and live in Atlantic City presently. Issues that I had seen, like the Main Street a lot in Pleasantville, we always saw it as like one town. So you can't be like shoving your problems across the bay. It's just going to come back and haunt you. So you got to deal, you got to share all the stuff with the police and fire and stuff. So you're dealing. I was lucky. Chief White became the chief 15 days before I became mayor. So I could not renew his contract because it's 90 days, you're on probation. So at the end of February, I could have done away with him. But I worked with him before, do this sit and stuff. So I like this guy. And I basically asked Henry, I said, so Henry, just tell me, straight out. And then it's not going to affect you either way. Are you doing this for 1 year? Because once you're bumped up to chief, you only have to be there for 1 year to get that higher salary for the rest of your life. Or are you going to be here for 5, 6, 7 years and clean up this department things? I'm here a long while. I'm certainly here for the 4 years or 8 years, whatever you're going to be here. So I said, great, then I will go out of my way. You tell me what we need and stuff. And he started off with about $12 million in technology to set up communication systems, to improve the shot spotter, to put the cameras on the boardwalks, the audio on the boardwalks and things like that. And he did a good job. So he lowered crime ever since he's been the chief, but he also reduced the amount of use of force, use of violent force, and number of internal affairs. They went from, I'm off now, but a couple of hundred to like 30 in a year and stuff. Huge.
He also started like community relation things, like coffee with a cop.
Right. So all that stuff, and that's what's important. So you said your dad was a cop. So I grew up, I said, in Palisades Park. I knew every cop. I don't know, 20 or 30 of them. You knew all of them by name. They were your ushers in church. They were your scout leaders. They were your little league and football coaches. They were regular guys. They didn't beat me up. They didn't kill my brother, my father, my cousins, and things like that. They were just like regular guys there. So my view of police has always been good. If I ever had a problem, I wouldn't hesitate to call them out. Had I fallen to that other category, where you've been screwing my family my whole life, my parents before that and stuff, then that's bad. And that's what Chief White did in Atlantic City. He had to straighten out that thing. So, he put a class 2 police officers in each of the 4 recreation centers at night, the 4 schools that we had. Not to be at the door, not to have a wand looking for medal and stuff, playing basketball with the kids, interacting and things. And I could see, and then all of the programs started at 5th grade. So that my last year as mayor, I could see when I went to the high school, if the kids ran up, hugged them, knew their names, they were 9th graders. Because 5 years of that was a very positive reinforcement. So the coffee with a cop, the pizza with a cop, the PAL programs, the cookouts, the movies in the park, it starts to pay out. But you got to have a lot of community policing, and everyone's got to do it. So, in a classic town, what you do is you take your five guys, and they become community police, and no one else cares about it. Here, they all kind of rotate on that. Chief goes out of his way to try to get, when there is crime, he tries to put people on foot in those neighborhoods to try to build better community relationships. They're walking Atlantic Avenue. Even the guys that are driving every 45 minutes, they're supposed to get out of the car for 15 minutes and interact.
You need more police that live in the actual cities, though.
Yeah, you do. It's tough, so that's a tough one. So here's what it is: you can't become a cop in any town, municipality in New Jersey unless you live there.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I'm going to pick on one guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a detail foreman. He lives in Egg Harbor. All of his kids who go to school there, and his wife, who's a minister, pastor in that particular town. He owns a home in Atlantic City. He keeps a room or an apartment for himself when he needs it. He's got his voter registration here. He has his library card here. He has utility bills that go to that address. He's a citizen. So you can phony that up.
I know.
Even the first one. People would say to me, "Do you really have to live in Atlantic City?" And I would say, if someone asked me that, I want to be a cop. I'm saying, if you can't figure out how to be a resident of Atlantic City, you're not smart enough to be a cop. The problem is that once they become a cop, the state of New Jersey says you can't force them to live here. And they did that because the riots, 67, 68, especially in Newark and Englewood in New Jersey, they targeted police and firehouses. So the Senate at the time freaked out and they said, no police officer, no firefighter ever has to live in the town that they were. So that was a bad thing. I want to say maybe 25 years ago, about that time, 20 years ago, CIA gave cops and firemen $100,000 over 10 years if they became primary residents in Atlantic City toward the homes. So you had to live here 10 years, you had to stay on the force for 10 years, and they got $100,000. So that whatever they did, 50 or 100 cops, everyone took advantage of that. And then they bought a police car so that cop could drive his car home. The car sat in the neighborhood. So when I moved into the Northeast Inlet, that'd be like 8 or 10 police officers, and the cars were sitting on the street. It's great deterrent, It's not going to stop big drug dealing, but it's going to stop stupid stuff. And, you see the cops just assume they're in the neighborhood and things. So that was the best thing they did to try to get cops to live in a community. Now, a cop will tell you it's kind of tough because, you're trying to do your job, and now your neighbors come on, you got to do something. Like, stupid kid, got caught, can you fix it for me and things. So now you're stuck. So that's a tough part of living in the community.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect all the cops to live in the city or something, but like I know a few of the cops over there, and to me it seems like the ones that went to school here, they do a little bit better.
They do. Yeah. And then, what we were talking about. So the kids need mentors, and they got to be everybody, cops included.
Yeah.
And so if they see the cop as someone that helps them, that's just good for everybody and things. And cops in general, firefighters, teachers, they already brought off service to the community. So I think that's kind of a normal for them. They're going to help out wherever they live. You want them to live. I don't think it's bad ever to have cops living in neighborhoods.
I think it's a good thing. The one thing I've been noticing in Pleasant, I'm from here, but like when I was a kid, my dad, he lived here, and people they knew him. Yeah. I never got teased like in school because people would come up to me and they say, "Hey, I ran into your dad. I was dead wrong, but he looked me out." You know what I mean? Now we got new cops that are here, right? And I've been talking about this on social media for the last couple of months. I keep getting pulled over in Pleasantville, and I'm like, and for dumb stuff, like, and not nothing I'm doing wrong. I got pulled over right in front of this barbershop one day.
So that was the old brigantine. That was the joke in brigantine. Yeah. If you can tie up the entire brigantine police force by bringing 6 black guys over there, because they're going to stop every black guy. You'll be going 14 miles an hour. You're going to get stopped.
Every time when I was younger, when I first got my license, every time I crossed that bridge, I get pulled over. Yeah. So I don't even go there.
I do believe that. It's not like that now, but I'm not trying to justify what's going on there. Yeah. But that I think that's always an issue. Black and Latinos now, probably Asians and Indians. You got to be checking that. And it's really up to the police department. So the sergeant should be checking out how many people did you stop, how many of them are men of color and stuff like that. There's got to be a problem with that. And stuff. Now, you're living in a neighborhood where 90% is black, then I got it 90%, but on the road, you know, this is just like. So you know, that's the issue I have with legalizing marijuana. I just see I'm for it for the social value. I don't think it's good to legalize any drug. But you got to do it here, and here's the point. I think 20-25% of people living in Jersey are black. But I've been in Cape May, Atlantic, Hudson, Bergen, Ocean, county jails. Everyone's black. You know, that's a mistake. 80% or 85%. 20% are black. How can 80% be in jail? And then out of the 80%, almost everyone's there for a marijuana issue. So you either had excessive amount, or I said excessive amount, I'm talking about a couple ounces, or you're selling it. So that whole thing is got to stop, and I hope legalize, you know, marijuana for recreation. Now, if those people that got caught that are in prison now continue to be a drug dealer with heroin or cocaine, no, it didn't stop. But I'm just saying is something's got to be wrong. Why are there 3 times the amount of black kids in jail, males, than there are that live in the community? Something's wrong with that, and almost all of it is tied to marijuana. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was gonna say that. All right, if they do that, then the prison system will lose money too, right? Because they that makes up a large percentage of our income.
Yeah, but I think it's like $100,000 cost to put someone away. The worst thing you can do is send someone to prison because they pick up bad habits. And it's a revolving door. They keep on going back. So, you know, all these re-entry programs, that's the best thing possible. As soon as they get out, before they get out, figure out if they need to get their GED, figure out if they need a skill, help them with housing and things. Because if not, you stick them on the streets, what do you expect them to do? They got to eat. And then if they had a family, they had to feed them too and stuff. So you can either sell drugs or you can steal. I mean, I don't know any other way that you get money because no one's going to hire you. You're going to show.
So you said the state would save money by not having.
State, of course, yeah. The worst thing you can do is put people in jail. And kids, the worst thing. I mean, unless they raped, killed, and ate the person, there's no kid should ever be in jail. Just figure out a community service program, tie them in with somebody in the community, make them do community service, but don't put them in jail. It's a losing proposition.
If marijuana is legalized, right?
Yeah, which it looks like it's just.
Yeah, I think it's about to, but because I don't know about this stuff. But if once it's legalized, would they be able to go back and take some of those charges?
Yeah.
And
so everyone that has a marijuana charge, it'll be expunged. That's part of it. Yeah, yeah, it has to be because and then all the marijuana charges now get dropped. So if you've been arrested and you're waiting, that's why they haven't prosecuted anybody for it now and stuff like that. For the medical and stuff, I mean, my father-in-law is using it. So I'm just going to talk about my friends, my social connections and stuff. Anyone that I know that, you know, is in the courts as a judge, works for a casino, the utility company, municipalities, they're clean because we all lose our job. We all get drug tested. Everyone else that I know absolutely smokes all the time. They smoke like I drink here. And that's just the way it is. That's New Jersey. I don't know about the rest of the world. You know, Lance, you know, you could say no and things, but you're right along the boardwalk. You can get high just from the amount of people smoking. And it's been for the last 20, 30 years. This isn't like some epidemic now. So a lot of people are using it. I don't see. Now, you know, if you can show me that it's a gateway drug and it makes someone, I guess I got to think differently. But at this point, I'm just saying it seems to be like we're wasting our time on that issue.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What was you trying to accomplish, like as a mayor? You know, like if you were the one again.
Yeah. So I think first of all, I think you can make a difference. You got to work with the state. You got to work with the county. But we have this cycle of poverty. So you're always going to have more poor people in Atlantic City and Pleasantville because you have more affordable housing. As soon as you help someone get out of affordable housing and stuff, someone poor is going to come into that. So you're always going to have poor people. How do you get them to break this cycle of poverty? I think it's education. So the quicker that you can get your kids with an associate degree means that their kids, that are way too generous, are going to have a 40 degree, and they can do whatever they want. And when I say whatever they want, usually that means more money. I'm not saying that it's not smart to be an electrician or a plumber. They make good money too, but I'm saying usually education helps. So why don't kids get into college? Because by fourth grade, they're not at the state reading or mathematics skill. In order to get there, they got to be in a pre-kindergarten program. So Head Start is the best program. I was real excited about Mayor, about being able to find, it was called Gateway 2, separate from the university, but bringing in, 300 kids that were going through a Head Start program, because you'll never be able to be successful in school unless you get that extra kick before you even get into kindergarten. So that's probably number one. Number two is the obvious. You got to keep the streets clean, and then the amount of infrastructure's got to be done. So we paved 60% of the city in the 4 years that I was there.
Yeah, I remember.
But I mean, it stopped. I mean, it had to continue. The streets are in deplorable shape. Most of the lights went to LED. I think in the whole city and stuff like that. So I mean, you got to make people feel safe, and you got to make things safe. So I think that's it. And then finally is we went to Philadelphia on these pop-up cities. Real excited about Tennessee Avenue. Because what I think Atlantic City missed when casinos came, one of the biggest things is you had a ton of people that went in and started businesses. When casinos came, you could make $60,000, $70,000 by working a 60-hour week. You had a pension, you had help. And so you didn't become a banker, you didn't start your own business, you didn't become a teacher, you went to work for casinos. And we lost that entrepreneurship. So all of the cool businesses in Atlantic City disappeared and stuff. Now the coffee houses,
You talking about Tennessee Avenue?
Yeah, Tennessee Avenue, the chocolate factory, that's the stuff that you need to bring back people.
Well, one of the
right?
assumptions was that the casinos was taking all of those business that was outside of the casino and bringing them into the casino.
Yeah, every time I go out of town, that's especially when I'm like in Ubers or something. I hear the Uber drivers and the people, the other tourists in other cities. They say, like, I hate going to Atlantic City now because there's nothing to do. And one guy told me, he said, I'll go up. He said, like, I gamble at Regatta. He said, I can't. They don't even going to give you a couple of hours off the slots. he's like, I go up there. He's, I know, their job is to make money. He said, you got to throw something back. So it's like I'm just getting a free buffet and all that.
I can tell you in Tom's River, everyone comes to Atlantic City for the weekend. They don't go to New York or Philly. Atlantic City is where they come for a good time with their wives or with their families and things. And they go to a casino for a while, but they all eat outside. No one eats in the casino. They know all the restaurants.
Yeah, because they know that it's expensive in there. I think the locals know it's not to eat inside of the casino.
It's expensive outside too, but there's good food now outside the casino. There's fun and there's high-end food. I mean,
what you think is fun in the city now?
Yeah.
What I think fun. So on Tennessee Avenue, I don't think there's any place better for a burger, a fish sandwich, or a chicken sandwich than the Tennessee Avenue beer hall. They're just really good. About 60 beers on tap. That's a lot of fun. Over on Massachusetts Avenue on the bay, warm weather. Cameron's now has a bar and a restaurant, all outdoor, right there on the bay. I think that's very cool. I like the Beach Bar Bungalow down on California Avenue. I like Vagabonds over on the west end. I like Iron Room. Kelsey and Kim, depending on you want just good food, simple food, or you want
you speak in reference to adult food.
Yeah. But so what about, like, if you got a family, you want?
So you got the aquarium, you got the steel pier, you got Ripley's Believe It or Not. Then the obvious, you got the boardwalk and bicycling and the beach. You got Lucy the Elephant. It's not a family town like Ocean City is or Cape May, but there are stuff for families to do for a couple of days.
What do you think it'd take to get a movie theater or a mall or something?
Never. The movie theaters, you got to have like a 12-plex, and it's got to have big park lots, and even the ones, look at that. Here, whatever's at the Shore Mall and stuff, like the 12-plex, 6-plex, and the 12-plex both closed up and things. And I know one of them is opening up again.
Yeah, because they refurbish,
make it a restaurant, have food.
But it's not really a lot of space to do anything in the city, though, right? Like open open space.
There is.
Yeah.
There's some, the whole southeast inlet.
That's what I was about
There's
to say.
openings that's all
As long as it's
vacant,
right.
clean, safe, and things like that.
What about
Lots
a
of
good
pockets.
supermarket?
They working on the
The
supermarket.
Oh, they put a
supermarket.
supermarket out there?
Yes,
Supermarket.
you know what's going to go, if I'm at
Indiana.
Applebee's
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking toward the convention center, there's a big parking lot there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
parking lot.
Oh, that
So
would be good.
supermarket, now we'll see, I was just talking to Matt Dowdy. He's the new director at CRDA, and he was mayor up in
Yeah, I like
Belmont.
Mac.
Nice guy, and was a beach town mayor, so you get
Yeah, and he got a supermarket put where he was at.
right.
Right,
So
that's good.
it's a supermarket next door. I don't think it's called WIC. What's the name of food stamps now? It's not WIC. It's got a new name again.
Oh, the EBT.
Yeah. So that's going to have an office right there, and they're going to have some counselors. So as people come in, they're going to get their WIC card, but they're going to be able to have someone help them, a nutritionist, to make sure they don't just buy all, mashed potatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's a good idea.
I think it's a really, really good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So we'll see. And then you got to get a real supermarket.
Yeah.
What he was saying was, because we was talking to him, he was saying, I've never been in a major city where there's no supermarket. He's like, that was unbelievable when I first came
It
here.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I never.
So if you talk about like poverty, really just get that careful, man. So the poorest people are paying the highest price because they have to go to the bodega, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can say, well, they can Uber, they can take a jitney to go to Acme and either place,
Shop
Brigantine or in
Right.
Ventnor Heights. Oh, they can come ShopRite and then Seagan and things like that. I mean, they got to get on public transit. They have to get transported there. That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
So the poorest people that have the least amount of money are paying the most for food. That I think is the biggest reason why you should have a supermarket. Personally, the state has got to figure out what they're going to do with the cutoff standards once the $15 an hour wage comes through. And it's just me thinking. I'm all for the $15 an hour. That's the minimum livable wage with pension and health.
Yeah.
So you get $15. Just say you get $10 now. Just going to use an example. Takes you 5 years, but you'll be at 15. $5 more an hour, 40 hours a week, that's $200. 4 weeks in a month, that's $800. So this is the best thing you can do for a family, give them $800. Except,
Right, I was about to say.
so let me see how I did. Number one, $800 you're going to pay 30% tax at least, 30 or 35%. That's $240. If you're in affordable housing, you pay 30% of your cost, so they're going to take another 30%. It's another $240. Now you can argue with me and say, once they got $800 more, they can live anywhere they want. But you missed the whole point. The point of affordable housing is so they could have a decent life and not spend it all on rent and things. So you're going to take out 30% for more of that $800 for housing, 30% more. So it gets worse now. Right now, at $15 an hour, you don't qualify for putting your kids in a Head Start program. So now you're left out of the. So you got to change Head Start to make sure that $15 is considered an acceptable level for you to still have a Head Start program. Same thing with food lunches. So I'd be very concerned that a lot of the programs that we have to help people are going to be lost because they finally made $15. And they're going to suffer. And everyone says, well, you're going to pay $1 more for a burger. Got it. It's okay. Things like, but so do they. So they got a little bit more, right? They got $1 or $2 more an hour, $3 an hour for the average person and stuff. But they got to pay more for gas, for food, for everything else. Because everyone's going to jack up prices and things. So it's not the euphoria that's supposed to be. Again, I'm all for the $15. That's a good thing, and it's got to go up. Like
everything
2%
around it has to change.
Yeah, it has to change and things.
You don't think they're gonna cut people hours?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Tom's River. So we did a pro forma. What's it going to be like when it goes to $15? It's going to take us 4 or 5
So people are preparing for this.
Well, yeah, of course.
Businesses.
So who makes less than $15 that works for Tom's River? All of our seasonal. So your lifeguards, the beach cleaners, the beach checkers, all your camp staff, your ice guard attendees, some of your landscapers that just have for the summer and things. So that's going to cost another $535,000 for Tom's River. Taxes aren't going to go up, so you're going to cut positions. It's not hard, and you're going to charge more. So it's going to cost more to go ice skating, cost more to go to the beach. There's beach fees in town reserve.
So would you really see a difference?
If you're making less than $15, the answer is yes. But it's not the euphoria that everyone thinks it is. That's all I'm saying. It's good. You got to share. You got to share the wealth. You can't be making $600 million as a casino owner and not having people being able to afford to rent and food and just a decent life. I'm not talking about everyone doesn't get rich cleaning rooms in a casino or working a table and stuff, but it should be a decent life.
So what do you think about the current mayor? As far as like how everything is running?
So it's running terribly, but no pot shots at the mayor right now. He's going through a lot of issues, so no pot shots there.
No, I was trying to get from you earlier. If you won
if I won the thing,
what was your
what would happen? I really saw the college doing the next expansion. I saw working with Wasim Bouai and his dad Omar, who's building Nobi to 250 units of housing to build the next 250 units.
They building more besides that we have. Or
they own that. They own that 4 acres.
Right.
They own the 4 acres next door, which they have approval for 100,000 square feet of retail, and then units on top of that. And then they picked up between Melrose and Madison, between New Jersey and Connecticut, that whole block. So they can go into phase 2 or 3, but they need some incentives to get them going. Meaning you got to help them find loans from the state so they can move ahead. The college should be moving ahead.
So the college is doing expansion too?
They want to do an expansion.
Yeah, I know
got
because
the
they
land.
came and did a presentation.
Yeah.
You talking about where O'Donnell Park is at?
Well, that's one part.
Right.
There's a whole parcel on the boardwalk right next to where the residential housing is now that they can build a second unit there. I think personally they should buy the Atlantic Club. Whether they tear it down or not, it's not. It's contiguous property. It's another dozen acres or so. For
What about did you hear about the radio station owner that was trying to buy that and turn it into?
Yeah, I heard of this is what I've seen at Atlantic Club, is everyone that has an idea has no money. And everyone has money doesn't think it can work. So it was supposed to be a black radio station that was going to make it an R&B hotel, going to have R&B entertainment.
Right.
It was supposed to be a Baptist, or if not a Baptist, a Christian conference center, because there's really nothing outside of the South. So retreat centers and things like that. It was supposed to be a water park, all indoors with a
what
hotel.
you think they should do with it?
I think it gets bulldozed. I think it becomes college.
Oh, and just give it to the college. Okay.
Not give it, let the university buy it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then just.
I think that's the best thing. It becomes future.
Yeah, I seen the chart they had. I forgot the name of it. It was called something, and it extends all the way from the boardwalk all the way down to Western Avenue.
On that property?
Yeah,
Or
they
the
trying.
college?
No, the college. That's how
Well, the
far they want to
college-
make a biomarine
Well,
area next to the dock right there over the bridge.
actually, they want to do that in Beta Field. So a biomarine center in Beta Field that would attract 8 or 10 companies that would have grants on sustainability of a living coastline. And I think that's a great idea. Yeah, that's all good. So they marked out to call
Yeah,
it
I've
like
seen
a
it.
college town, which I think it's good because if you think of right now Stockton in Pomona, 1/3 of the students live there, 1/3 of the students rent from private homes, then 1/3 commutes. I think for Atlantic City that'd be perfect. So you need about 2,000 students living here, 2,000 renting from all the other people in Atlantic City and Ventnor, and then 2,000 commuting. I think it'd be nice. About 6,000 people would make a big difference.
So that was your plan, was expansion of the college
Yeah. And then it was
finishing the roads.
Yeah, it was finishing the road for sure, finishing the boardwalk, and then we're starting the repairs, the wholesale repairs of the old boardwalk, which it's okay from Albany Avenue down to Ventnor, but from Albany Avenue to New Jersey Avenue, except for where it's recently been repaired, it really needs to be redone.
Did you see an article where Wawa is trying to seek approval for that?
Everybody wants $50 million, something like that. It's whether or not you get it.
Yeah. And that's through the state?
Well, they're trying to get it from the state. More likely they'll get it from the federal government from a federal program that will come to the state. That's how we had gotten our boardwalk. So it's the Army Corps of Engineers. That boardwalk from just about where Ocean is now, all the way up to Flagship. And then the next section is going to be from Caspian coming into Gardner's Basin. That's about $50 million, 50 is what it cost. Federal government came up. But they had to put the rock jetty, and then they put the bulkhead, and then they built the boardwalk. So it should be here for 50, 60, 70 years. Storms are going to get hit the rocks. No, it's going to hit the rocks, and it'll save the boardwalk. Boardwalk should be good.
Wow.
That section, but yeah.
What do you think about the Kentucky Avenue thing?
So Kentucky Avenue, I was like all excited about that 20 years ago when CRDA gave them a couple $100,000. But they spent a couple $100,000, they couldn't get anybody to come, other than Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey and his wife. I mean, they invested, they rent the place, they're there, they're solid and things, but nothing else ever happened on Kentucky Avenue. So, it's happening on Tennessee Avenue. There are a batch of people down between the boardwalk and Pacific Avenue, like right around Texas Avenue, California. They're trying to create a square and do businesses down there, a loop, just like they're doing up on Tennessee and New York and things like that.
So the problem is having investors.
Always the problem is having investors. And then our housing, especially the affordable housing, was in bad shape. So I'm glad CRDA kicked in. So schoolhouse apartments, Victory, somebody else, Liberty, and one other that's a dump. So they get new kitchens, new bathrooms, new floors, new windows, doors, HVAC. That's good. Because they did that to Carver Hall a couple of years ago. Now, the reason they do it is they get a lot of financial tax incentive for the next 30 years. That's why they reinvest the money. But it'll be good. The units needed there. With what's happening at Renaissance Plaza, it's a bigger picture than any cleaning up trash or lighting isn't going to solve the problem. We had accepted for 40 or 50 years that anyone that wanted to shoot up could do it at Browns Park. Everyone closed their eyes. All they had to do was look out the window. It wasn't like it was hidden, but it was always allowed there. It's a disgrace. It was the first black guy that got killed in World War II. It's in the middle of where all the families live, between Stanley Homes, Carver Hall, and Schoolhouse Apartments. That should be a cool park for kids, not a druggy park. So we got the money. We built the park there. Big success. I mean, everyone likes that.
Yeah,
but you moved all the homeless out, right? Okay. So where did they go? They went to Atlantic Care across from City Hall. So we closed that off. We fenced it in, right? So you moved all the Atlantic. Now they're on the library. If the library had any money, they're going to get rid of those steps to avoid that. But you can't keep on pushing.
So how do you get rid of the problem?
You've got to have more social workers there. During about 10 years at SIT, as part of the ambassadors, they had two social workers, a young guy in his 20s that dealt with kids and someone who dealt with adults. And they worked 40 hours a week, and they were under the boardwalk and the train station, the bus station. But you got it. Not everyone that's out there wants to be out there. Some people want help. Some people you're not going to help. They're going to tell you right out front, I know I'm a mess, leave me alone. I'm not going into rehab. I don't want your help. Don't be calling my family. I don't have any family. I'm by myself now. It's the way it is. Just get out of my face. There's very few of those. You have runaway kids or just kids that run away. You got to get them in a day or two. You get them in a day or two, you get back with the parents, it's okay. You get some people that have the easy stuff. And I'm saying substance abuse is easy when I finish everything. And alcohol abuse. That stuff you can go into some type of a rehab program and know it's not going to get fixed in 3 months or 6 months, but it's a start. You come back, you enter society, you have some type of coaching and counseling, and provided that stays for 5, 6, 7 years, I think they have a pretty good excuse. You're going to relapse once or twice. You got to understand that.
So that was what you was trying to do?
But it's being done now, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me like the IHD really got to go.
Yeah, the IHD's got to go, but we need to have a permanent facility that can help people. Then you have people that mentally are never going to be right. They just can't take care of them. We got to take care of them. That's all. There's no one. If the family is there, that's great. If there's no family, you got to take care of them. And that's the toughest one. There's no long-term harm. You gotta take care of everybody coming back from Iraq and Iran. So that's a mess. I'm talking about here. They got the arm, they can give them a $6 million arm. I got that. We're good for that. But when they're over there, you kill families, kids, and things.
You can't come post-traumatic.
You can't come back. Yeah, that's post-traumatic stuff. I didn't know because I was just a kid, but all of my mentors all came back from World War II. They just never talked about it. It was another generation. They went to American Legion halls or the Othello halls. They drank. They talked about themselves. Like my dad never talked about the war. You'd say, "Dad, what did you do? What happened? You won this battle?" And as I would find out where he was, he's like, "No, this is bad."
So what did you think about Sister Jean?
So Sister Jean, I want to tell you, I've had a lot of work with Sister Jeans. About 10 or 15 years ago, I had thought it made sense for Sister Jeans because I volunteered there and I saw how bad the building was back then. This is Presbyterian church now. I had thought going to the mission made a whole lot of sense. When I talked to people at Sister Jean, they explained there's less than 10% of the people who come to Sister Jean's are homeless. 90% of Atlantic City residents, really. So at that point, senior citizens don't want to go to the mission. They don't want to walk halfway through town to get there. So I changed my whole perspective then. When I was mayor, I found 4 or 5 warehouses that were empty on the west side, but I couldn't get enough council members to support it. They didn't want it there. When the Catholic Church merged with 4 different parishes and St. Monica's became available, I went and talked to Father John. Father John said, yeah, we're definitely selling St. Monica's. I said, I think this is perfect with the senior citizens housing that we have, with Inlet, with Jeffries, with Community Haven, with Best of Life. This is all walking distance, and it's not too bad for New York Avenue and for Atlantic City townhouses. So this is all about seniors and affordable housing. They just want a decent meal and they want some socialization. So St. Monica's seemed to be perfect. It was about $400,000 that the Catholic Church wanted. Sister Jean's didn't have it. They sold the parking lot to, I think, somebody for $250,000 or $150,000, and Sister Jean's bought St. Monica's Church, the community center, and the rectory. The initial idea was the community center, but it flooded during Sandy. So did the church. They were going to raise the church. Couldn't physically be raised, not structurally sound. So the idea was to demolish everything, build it new. Honestly, that's probably the best, because the disadvantage on Pacific Avenue was there was no place for people to queue, to hang in inclement weather before they went inside. The new building was going to take care of all of that. About $1 million to do that. CRDA came through with $1 million. I went to CRDA, I said, they need $1 million. This makes a whole lot of sense. It's only going to move them 3 blocks, and it's closer to where people that actually use it.
What happened with that? Okay.
The new mayor does not want it.
Oh.
So that kind of ended. So they're at the mission right now, but it's a bad place for them to be. It's not right. Again, you're not feeding the people from the mission. You're feeding some of them. Most of the people are just residents, so build it where residents are. It's not a needle exchange, it's not a methadone clinic, it's not any other type of clinic. It's not placing people overnight, it's just feeding people that are hungry and things. So, yeah, that's really sad. I hope as time goes on, they find a solution, more than just the mission. The mission is short term. And there's no question Presbyterian Church is shot, maybe you'll say the stained glasses, but I looked at that before I was mayor. So that's about 7 years ago. I bought an architect, and he was talking about $4 or $5 million then, just to repoint it, put a new roof on, structurally save it. So there's no congregation left. It used to be a powerful congregation, a lot of people, a lot of money. Those days are gone. There's no one there. There's no one that's looking for the building to use it for a performing arts center or anything else. So the buildings eventually got to get torn down, raised.
How did you get? You said you came here 30 years ago, right? So how did you? I don't know why you came, but
I came because I worked for the Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah,
I was an executive, and they hired me for Cape May and and Atlantic County. So I came to the Boy Scouts of America. After about 6 months, I really fell in love. I worked for the shore once before, but I really liked Atlantic City. And so after 13 years, I told the Boy Scouts, don't plan on moving me. somewhere I'm staying. Yeah.
So you were already like into doing public work and stuff.
Yeah. So I did that, and then what happened was most of my board of the Boy Scouts were all presidents of casinos at the time. This is 89, 90, 91. And as I told them I was staying here, they said, yeah, I'm glad you are. You shouldn't be working for the Boy Scouts, you should be working for us in the hospitality industry. So I went to work as an executive with the Claridge. The Claridge, with all these other casinos, wanted to try to figure out how to clean it up. They came up with the Special Improvement District. Because they didn't trust either the state senator or the mayor or anybody else, they said, we'll pay for the executive directors, meaning me, so they could control.
So
what was going on.
The big issue with, because I know you helped CRDA get over to the CRDA, right? What was the big issue with the city then? Why they wanted to discontinue special improvement?
Well, because it meant that elected officials didn't control the job. And in Atlantic City, the only way you get elected is by giving someone a job, making them and the whole family vote for you. So having 150 jobs that they control was something they weren't interested in. Plus, we were clean and stuff like that. There was no dirty stuff going on. You bid out all the contracts and things, and that's not an acceptable position to me.
So how did you get to being in politics?
Yeah. So what happened? So I did sit at some point. One day, literally, they formed a tourism district, and CRDA swallowed up Sid. Literally, that afternoon, an hour later, someone came in and said, at midnight, you're dissolved. You'll either be part of CRDA or you don't bother showing up for work, and things like that. So the next day, we became part of CRDA. And then I said, well, it's great. If this is half of the city, this is what we need. We can clean it. We can have it graffiti-free. We can maintain the boardwalk. We can build benches. We can take over all the parks that are in this side of the city and stuff. And that's what we did. And you could see the difference. If anything, people got annoyed if you weren't in the tourism district that it was filthy, dirty, and things. That's because we would just clean. It was very logical. It was easy to do. We had ambassadors, we had landscapers, and we had environmental service. And then we had some special things. We mostly everything you see on Atlantic and Pacific that got a facade, the CID paid for it. I think we did 200 in about 20 years. So with that, it just frustrated me why we couldn't do it on the other side of the city. Because the other side of the city is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to maintain residential areas than it is commercial areas and things. And I just got frustrated that the city, I've been there 20 years now, that the city wasn't doing any better. The people weren't, any happier and things. So I just got frustrated, and I figured I'd speak out, and then speaking out got me to one, and then.
So what you think you want to do it again? You want to do it again?
In Atlantic City? No. I did it 4 years. I loved it. I loved the job. And I would have done it another 4 years. But, they decided not to elect me. Now, I can say that, as you know, I'm saying there's so much corruption with that election, but I brought all that to the table. So before, I always heard afterwards. You can't do anything after an election because now you're impeding the people that actually voted legally. So what I did is I hired former FBI agents and attorneys to listen. People are getting paid and they're not even, voting. Someone else is voting for them. Dead people are voting. It's just like, so they had people wearing wire and cameras. We did all that. I had a press conference, presented it to the state and to the county, and it did get nowhere. And that was like 2 weeks before the election. So at that point I'm saying is, the fix is in. There's too much money, and there was. They spent $500,000 to take me out. It's a lot of money for a little town. In a town that usually don't spend $100,000 for an election, they spend $500,000 and things. But once it happened, I got a great job in Tom's River where I am now. So it's twice the salary. It's busy, but it's very easy.
Let me ask you a question, right? When you left Special Improvement, which we was mad about, by the way. Because we known you for so long, right?
Yeah.
Did you take a pay cut?
No. What happened was when I was in Special Improvement District, I was getting $170,000 because that's what that size said was getting all over the country and things. When CRDA came and they wanted to get rid of me, so they said, we don't recognize you as a director, you're just a department head, and we're going to cut your salary to $103,000.
You still have a director though.
Yeah, but not at 170, at 103,000.
Okay.
So I went down to 103,000. When I became mayor, Mayor Langford and council before I was there, a couple of years before, raised the salary for the mayor, starting with when I came in, to $143,000. So I would have gone from 103 at Sid to 143 as mayor. Within 2 or 3 days, I realized how bad things were and how no one knew how bad things were. So we had someone from the state, Ed Cisdelli. He was overseer of what's going on here. He said, listen, council passed, your salary's 143. If that's what you want, just let us know. He says, no, you know what? I'm going to have to ask everyone for like a 20% cut or something like that over the next couple of years. I can't do that with a straight face. So I'm not going to take the $40,000. I'm going to stay with the old salary on a voluntary basis. Don't cut me. I want to have my salary set at 143. So the first year I did that. Second year I voluntarily did it again, took 103. Third year took 103. During the third year I said, I tell you what, and stuff like that. I should not go up as mayor, any mayor, until things are fixed. So I'd like to permanently reduce the mayor's salary to $103,000. Then if I do such a great job, then I should be able to go back and ask the people for a raise.
Okay.
And so that's right. So my last year before I lost, I locked it in at 103, and that's what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But the rate was before 140.
I'm sorry?
The salary was 140.
Before. No. So Mayor Langford made $103,000 because you can't raise your salary when you're mayor. That term. It has to be for the next term.
Oh, okay.
So Mayor Langford, 2 years before he
Okay.
left, he raised the salary.
Right.
No, he didn't raise it, council raised it.
Right.
For the mayor, but it was during real Mayor Langford's term.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Some of the questions was somebody asked us was like, why you ain't just revamped everything and like just hire new faces, because it's obvious that the old people, the people that was under there previously, was there to get it to where it's at now. So why you didn't just
They're in the city.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened is I was in a unique position with the Special Improvement District in that I had worked with most of the people that were department heads in the city. So I knew a few people that I thought did a good job, and the rest of them I wanted to get rid of. So when I became mayor, I had maybe 5 or 6 different committees. We put out a job description for the entire state, and we asked people to apply. So for the business administrator, for the solicitor, for the planning director, new police chief, new fire chief, new lifeguard, beach chief, new neighborhood services, all the things. So those 7 people, I had interviewed a group of people, and with a committee we picked who we thought was best. So they came in new with me. Obviously Jasmine came in as my executive assistant, Chris Filicello came in with me as my chief of staff. All the other people I thought were doing a decent job. So like Paul Jerkins at Public Works, or the head of HR, head of Human Services at the time, I kept. So even though they were Mayor Langford appointments, I thought they were doing a good job. Finance director, I had kept. So I made changes where I thought they were not doing the job I wanted them to do, and the ones that I thought were doing a good job, I kept.
And you think that's what got people so upset? Was that in the taxes? Because people were accused that were accusations that you raised the taxes.
I know, but I'm telling you,
Yeah, I know.
I didn't choice. I mean, I just happened to be there when the taxes went up, but I didn't have anything to do with the
Yeah,
first.
so you inherited
What I did do is I had to cut the budget $43 million a year. They didn't cut it anymore. I cut the $43 million, and I had to reduce the workforce by more than 400 employees. So there's 400 few employees working for Atlantic City by the time I left and when I started. Now, about 300 were through attrition. They retired, so I didn't replace them. Some things like trash pickup, recycling, health, Meals on Wheels, senior transportation went out to somebody else. So although those positions were reduced, well, it was either with the county or it was privatized. Yeah. Everything else, privatization didn't make any sense. So it didn't make sense to privatize inspection. It didn't make sense to privatize dispatch. It didn't make sense to work with the county on trash or recycling and things like that. But that's the type of cuts you had. So there's about 800 people who work for Atlantic City. There's 40,000 people in Atlantic City. I'm in Toms River, We have 100,000 people, and we have 500 employees. So the number is about right now in Atlantic City. I'd argue you need about 30, 35 more cops. That would be my personal opinion. Everything else about the same. You could say one here or two here when you move people around, but pretty much the staffing that they have is reasonable. Fire may be short 5 people or so.
So who do you think? So you're not going to get back in, right? So
why are you not getting back in?
Because I'm very happy in Tom's River.
Okay.
Because I take home twice the salary that I took when I was mayor.
at least you're being honest.
Because it's a very pleasant working environment. Because I think I'm the right guy to run Tom's River, and Tom's River thinks I'm the right guy to run Tom's River. So it's a very comfortable.
So it's kind of hostile working in the city?
It was very hostile working. There's so much crooked stuff coming on, and between the political leaders in Camden and in Morristown, all they wanted was their projects getting through, and the rest of the state's real corrupt and stuff.
So who
I was their enemy. The big boys that have all the money, I'm the one that's fighting. I wouldn't sell the water company. I wouldn't give away Gardner's Basin. I wouldn't give away Bakerfield. I wouldn't let them pick their own developer for the Southeast Inlet. And that really shook up the train, because you're not supposed to do stuff
so
like that.
the state, so you was like the wall between the state and other things. So the state was trying to just...
Governor, the last governor, not this guy. I like Phil.
Right.
Phil's trying to do a decent job. I mean, like him, not like him.
That's what I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, why would the state have to intervene with a small such as Atlantic City? Why did they feel a need to?
Because the governor had to listen to people that helped him financially for his presidential campaign. So the big bosses, which is from Morristown and from Camden, controlled the last governor and told him what he wanted. And I was blocking what they wanted.
Right? Okay.
So I was the enemy. And, I mean, I was fighting them all the time.
So who do you think, if you're not getting in there, who do you think will probably end up being the next one?
Marty Small.
Think so?
Marty.
He has a good choice.
I think he can. I think he matured greatly in our fights with Trenton. We worked and stood side by side for 3 years of the fight. We went to Trenton once or twice a week. If we weren't there, we were all over the state trying to build up some support. I think he's matured. I think he's a good diplomat. I think his 12 years or so that he's been in council, and because of all the crisis, he knows what the city needs, and he knows all the connections with people that we can count on in North Jersey, Central Jersey, South Jersey. Yeah, Marty's my pick. I think he's well qualified. He's the only one, I think, right now that's well qualified. Now, change the type of government, then that changes it altogether. So, you go back to what was a weak mayor where you just select council, and the council selects who they want to be mayor, but the mayor just runs council meetings. He performs functions as the mayor, but you hire an administrator, and the administrator actually runs the city. And so if you do that, that's different.
Yeah.
Why you didn't take Maurice with you?
In Tom's River?
No, and to the man.
I was planning to do that. It just didn't happen. They didn't have jobs, and then, there was no money. And we were stretching day to day. We were trying to make payroll, and I'd have to call you up and say, "I'm sending you a check, but you can't cash it." And that's how desperate we were not to go bankrupt and things.
Is it hard working with the state? Was it hard working?
It was impossible working with the governor.
Oh, okay.
But no, the state was very easy. They were really good people.
Well, what do you think about? I mean, it's kind of broad, but like the federal government, all the stuff that's going on, president, and
So I feel like it's the 1960s again. Like it's a tinderbox. We're ready to explode. Almost on the verge of civil war. There's no civility. There's no common sense and things like that. And the stuff that I hear that I thought was over with, constitutional issues that were settled in the 50s and 60s. And, if it wasn't settled then, that by 68 with the Civil Rights Act and then all of the interpretation of the Civil Rights Act, I thought this is like behind us. And it's like we're rising again. This is the first year for Dr. King's birthday that I felt we really didn't make progress. Every other day I said, listen, we didn't make the progress everyone hoped with. I get that. But it's certainly a lot better today than it was in 1964. I just used, that particular year and stuff. But now I don't know about that.
So
I'm really worried on a national level what's going on. Worried about us getting into an unneeded war nationally.
So, but do you I don't want to get personal. Do you vote Republican too, like across the board, or you just
no? I am Republican, but I vote for the individual, and so the first guy I voted for was in 1972 because they just lowered the age from 21 to 18, and I turned 18. So I was the first 18-year-old able to vote in the presidential election. I always voted for the man because I disliked the other guy more. Yeah. So I didn't necessarily vote for most presidents. I just really disliked the other one. There's two exceptions. I thought that Ronald Reagan was the right guy at the right time. I liked him. I voted for him twice. And I thought Barack Obama was the right man both the first time and the second time. I voted for him twice. Yeah. Those are the only two men that I actually voted because I wanted to be president. Again, everyone else, I disliked the other guy more, and that's what I did.
All right.
I couldn't vote. Because of being in Atlantic City and being so involved and seeing the Donald when he was here, there's no way I could vote for him. Because I was afraid that he was going to run the country like he ran his casinos, and that's what's going on.
So what now? For me, the first time I was able to vote was 2000, right? So I voted for Al Gore. It was the first time I was sued, right? I missed the one before that because my birthday is on November 9th. Oh. So I didn't, so it was like the election was November 8th. I turned 18 on the 9th. Yeah. But so when I voted for for Gore, because I hated Bush. Yeah. And then when Gore won but didn't win, I was pissed. So I didn't vote the next time. I straight up didn't.
But see, that's when you needed to.
But no, here's the problem.
The second time was nobody voted. Everyone was.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Did I? No, Kerry. This would kill this. And I'm just trying to give you, because I want to hear your advice to young people, right? Because there's people that say, I'm not voting. At that time, I was one of them, and I said, I'm not voting, because when Bush and Kerry ran against each other, and it was the same thing again. It looked like Kerry won, and then he didn't even fight it. He was just like, how the hell would I got my money, I'm out. And I saw that, and I was like, yo, this is some bullshit, man. and so, the last election, I did vote for Hillary, but she won, but didn't win because of Electoral College. Why the hell don't they just get rid of Electoral College? What does it take to get rid of it?
A constitutional amendment.
Is that hard to get done?
No, I mean, people will say it is, but I don't think so. I think Americans don't want the Electoral College anymore. So I got the idea before the states were so powerful that every state wanted to make sure that they controlled who was going to be president. I don't think it's effective anymore. I think it was effective for the first 100 years or so. Through the Civil War, it made some sense and stuff. It gave some balance for Confederate states and Union states and things like that. Not anymore and stuff. I don't see the balance. But not voting is such a bad idea and stuff. And when you don't vote, you just throw away. And you know that there are people that are out there that are doing nasty and illegal things to get the votes out. And unless people come out and vote their mind, I think it was a disgrace that the Republican Party for first 100 years took blacks for granted, and now the Democrats take blacks for granted. Yeah. I think you're foolish for voting for a party and stuff. Vote for the ideas, the issues, the man.
Well, see, now that's the problem though. Like with black people, right? For us, it's not like we're coming together and asking any candidate to deliver something specifically for us, because we never had an agenda. Like there's things that we know we need, but we don't. It doesn't seem like we stick together enough to demand somebody. You have to do this. So, for instance, like we always talk about like what's the black agenda, right? We don't really know what the Asian agenda is, because whatever their thing is, they keep it to themselves, and they'll step directly and say, "Are you going to do this or not?"
They're kind of split.
It is.
You know, Asians are split. So are Indians and stuff. Bangladesh, Vietnamese. They're not voting by the block anymore. They may for a while, but not anymore. And certainly locally they don't. You have Republicans and you have Democrats and stuff.
It's weird. And then for somebody like me, I don't ever know where I fit in with that stuff because I'm not, you know, I'm not a Republican where like, because I am conservative, but I'm not super liberal either. You know what I mean?
So I'm fiscally conservative. I want smaller government. But I'm very progressive on everything else. You can't live in Atlantic City and not feel for all the people that are having tough times.
Well, what happens? Well, people like in our community, here's what happens: they just automatically look and they see Republican.
I know.
And they say, "No, that's racist." No, I'm not going with
that.
Yeah,
I have to say that for people in Atlantic City. The biggest thing I got was you're the only Republican I ever voted for. You're the first Republican I voted for. I never voted for a Republican before you. I mean, I got that all the time.
So do you think that someone could get into office in the presidential as an independent?
No.
No? So how do you get like that? Because of the money?
Because of the money. You need the Republican and the Democratic Party because it's just tens of millions of dollars that you need.
So what do you think now about though? Like, because you got all these new Democrats, the younger Democrats, and they're like pissed off with the older Democrats.
So Democratic Party has split, but so has the Republican.
But
I don't represent the Republican Party. I'm in one small faction. Then there's the right wing redneck section that's there. The people in the middle and things.
Yeah, people need to understand that it's like that. Do you think that Bernie Sanders could win?
I do.
But what if he runs as an independent and not a Democrat?
I don't know how he can. I don't know how anybody can. No one has for such a long time. I can't even tell you the last guy that was independent.
Ross Perot.
No, I can tell you people that ran as independent.
They got close.
Yeah, they didn't get close. And things. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt, after he was president, he came back and he ran with the Bull Moose Party. He didn't win. He should have stayed as Republican.
So how would somebody win with getting... Like if you split the party up like that,
it's tough. So in order, I'm talking about more local. I'm talking about assembly, state senate, or congressman. If you're a Republican, the people who come out for the primaries are all far white. So you got to be swinging conservative, really conservative, in order to get the election. If you come out moderate or liberal, you'll get defeated. So once you pick that kind of candidate that's far white, he'll never win in the general election. Now take the Democrats. Who votes in the primary? All the liberals. So unless you're far liberal, you're not going to get Democratic nods. So if you're middle of the road, you don't get it. The problem is now, if you spoke out one side of your mouth, as a Republican to be conservative in the primary, or as a liberal in the Democrats to be a primary, now you got to come and face the general public, and you got to change talk out of the other side of your mouth. Well, what is it? Are you pro-life or pro-choice? This is real simple. I'm asking you very specifically. Are we going to go to war or not going to go to war? What happens if Syria invades Israel? Do we support Israel? These are very direct questions. These aren't tough things to do. You got to be able to have the answers. And I don't think I don't see that. And Jeff Van Drew, I think, was very good. He's Democrat, but he's about as Republican as he is Democrat. And so he wants to vote for what's good for South Jersey. And I think the last guy, Lobianco, did that, and the guy before him, Bill Hughes, like all of them, because they were very middle of the road. And if it was bad for South Jersey, they voted against it. That's what they protect the environment, protect the ocean, make sure the military bases don't close because they're jobs. There's some things that are pretty easy on a national level. I'm concerned, with the state of events on the international level now and things like that. I'm the peacekeeper and stuff like that. So, why would we want to take on Russia or China, forget about Korea and stuff? I mean, the big guys there and stuff like that. Yeah, they are superpower. Brazil will be a superpower one day. And so India, because of the population, they got over 1 billion people, they're going to be a superpower there and stuff. You got to try to find some way to coexist.
You think it really get to that point, Mr. Gardner, where it's getting to a civil war?
A civil war here? Yeah, I could see that.
because of
I always worried the last couple of years about what I read about like the riots all over the United
the
States.
race riots you talking about?
Yeah, race riots. So think of like hot dog day. August afternoons where it's just so hot you're miserable and things like that. Mix a little liquor with that and stuff. And
people get pissed, man.
And I worried about that each time in Lang City. I always worried on the really hot days and things, especially if there was a killing, if a cop had to take out somebody and stuff. I always worried that might incite the neighbors. And there are a lot of people that just want to incite people to, they're poverty pimps. They don't care about anything other than, inciting people against each other. Hatred. That's, so, I mean, it's always been important for people to stand up and fight bigotry and racist behavior all the time. And it changes and things like that, You need to defend, in Ocean County, you got to make sure that Orthodox Jews are able to live in the same neighborhoods as everyone else. In Atlantic City, it's Muslims. I mean, that was a very big issue. Everybody wants to have everything that's wrong with the world blamed on a religion and things. And you got to make sure that they're protected and things. And I don't know what it was 30 years ago. Maybe it was just blacks. Today we got to, defend the Latinos, the Haitians. With immigration for sure and stuff like that. Yeah, so, we're other than if you're Native American, we're all undocumented workers. No one got here legally. I don't think the Native Americans come on board and things. That's what we wrote as our history. I think we just basically landed and took what we wanted.
How was it, like, when you're the mayor, right, or any position, when, say you would not promise, but you try to get something done for one group of people, and then it doesn't end up happening.
Never happens.
And then now them people are pissed at you
all the time.
So do you?
So
you just have a tough skin, and you just
you have to have tough skin. I have to tell you that one of the things that I was very proud of is I never promised anybody jobs the whole time and stuff. If anyone said I lied, because I would say that publicly all the time. So when I got in, I didn't have to produce jobs for different people. What I was surprised at is how much compromise is needed. So in order to get the votes for what you want to do, you got to compromise on something else. It's just like, but in politics, everything's about compromise.
So what pissed you off the most throughout that?
The government.
Oh, well, I know that. But I mean, as far as working with the people.
Lies. People's own personal agendas and what they wanted in life, or knowing that certain elected officials were bought and owned by other people that had no good interest for Atlantic City, and just having to live with them lying as they spoke, and then it's just somehow we allow our elected officials to lie. If you were a businessman, you wouldn't allow another. If I was doing business with you and I lied to you about something, we're not going to do business anymore.
No.
It's not for life. That's it. And yet for politicians, I know you said that, but it was during the elections. It was heated. You were upset, and so our standards are too low for politicians. They should be higher for elected officials. And so you need more diplomats.
You think people showing up for council meetings and stuff like that, the public? You think that really put pressure on the?
No, I think it's a joke. And the same 50 people show up at council and say the same things time and time again. And it's most of the things that they're asking council. Council doesn't have the jurisdiction. It's the mayor and the business administrator that run it. They only control resolutions, ordinances, and the budget. They don't get to decide where trash is going to be picked up, on who gets lighting, or whether the boardwalk's clean or not. But yet people do it all the time and things like that. So council meetings in Toms River last 1 hour, and that includes all the recognition for the kid that made the Eagle Scout and the people that are retiring. But in 1 hour, and then we go into a closed sessions for half an hour. I can tell they're very civil, very organized. There's no screaming and yelling, cursing.
So do you think,
no fist fights?
Do you think, like in urban areas, like do you think it gets like that because we don't understand how government works?
Yeah, part of it is that, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't hold that to urban areas. I think all over people don't know how government get along.
So if you're a resident
Yeah.
and you want to get your voice heard, how do you get your...
Usually what happens is if you call the town hall, usually get, my trash can get picked up, or, there's a light that's missing and stuff. Someone takes care of it. But what happens is in Atlantic City, you bring 6 people and all 6 of you talk for 5 minutes about how dangerous it is to have that light out on your street out and things like that. And all they're going to do is turn it into the mayor or the BA, and they're going to say, can you fix the light? They're going to say yes. The next day it gets done. But elected officials like to play the game. Yeah. So they want to be able to stand and say, I am outraged that light is not available on the north side. Why should the people of the north side suffer when the people on the boardwalk have... And you sit there and say, are you kidding me? You know that a light's going to get replaced if a light gets replaced. And so, Lance can tell you it's it. And so he was in charge of making sure the city was weed-free, or at least when I was there. When you had it, it was like that. So you start in one section of the city and you work on. Now, if you're 7 blocks away and you call up and say, we're on our way, but it's not going to happen for a couple of days. Yeah, I know if I don't call. And then when you come, then they say, I know why you're here, because I called. And you got to just smile and say, no, it's because this is the schedule today of what we're doing. And we got the whole city, we're doing everything we can. And that happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually just call them.
Yeah, usually for the most things. I'm not talking about trying to extend PAL's hours. That's something else where you need to say, hey, there's fewer programs with the schools, and I think we should do this, or more kids want to play soccer, whatever the issue is.
Well, all right, so different. All right, now this is 2 questions. Funny, but what did you think about the whole coaching fiasco?
Removing the coach?
Yeah, that and all the stuff that happened and council and all that.
Outrageous. Just outrageous. This guy's really good. He's got, what is he, 6 games or 7 games to be the most winning coach and things like that. Everyone loves him and stuff. He had a fight with one of the parents or things.
That was a big story. Yeah. We had him come here and talk about it. That was a big story all over the country. A good man, a good coach, that should never have happened. And things. It was an embarrassment. But it makes us look like idiots. But now, some of the stuff that was alleged, because you was married, did that happen with the misuse of No, he was there. I was school. I wasn't there. No. I'm saying, but when they talk about the misuse of the gym and for the tournaments and stuff, you didn't hear all that? You didn't hear the arguments? I was never involved in that because that's the school.
Yeah, it's a Board of Education.
Board of Education.
Oh, okay.
So the mayor...
No, but I mean, you would hear about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the fight. What do you think about the fight?
It's not fair to knock a guy when he's...
No, not to knock him, but just listen, we asked him to come here. He said he's going to come. You know what I mean? So, not to knock him, but just if you, let's say you're married. Let's say you're married in Thomas River, right? You go on to 7-Eleven or Wawa or something, and you get into something with somebody.
Altercation.
And you get an altercation. Somebody hits you or approaches you. You wouldn't scuff it up with them?
No. I've never been in an altercation.
Never? Your whole life?
No. From high school on.
From high school?
Yeah. College, I think, is fraternity, more wrestling than anything else and stuff. But I've never been in a fight.
That wasn't a good look, no.
but
there's a standard that
comes along with the job.
Okay.
There's a standard that you expect.
But if somebody gets in your face or whatever, because
yeah,
that was an argument every day in the barbershop.
I wouldn't have been in the nightclub at 2 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't have been at Haven at 2 o'clock in the morning. I think so.
So where can the mayor party
I think there's a standard. I'll give you a standard I can live with. So I've lived in Jersey my whole life. I love the beach. Mm-hmm. I've never been to the beach where people don't drink. Mm-hmm. They bring a red Solo cup, that's where the beer goes in, or the liquor and things like that. So you're not in your face, you're not showing the cop your beer or being obstinate. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. When I'm mayor, I'm saying, I can't drink beer on the beach. Everyone drinking. That doesn't matter.
Oh,
Everyone's smoking dope too. That doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
you're the mayor. You can't be breaking the law. You got to be following the law and things. So for the time that I was mayor, I can absolutely swear. Boy Scouts honor. I never had a deal on the beach not that I got to the beach a whole lot when I was mayor. But mayor was about 100 hours a week for me. It was really long. 7 days a week. And that's one of the things. So Tom's River, I put in about 50 hours a week. I'm off on weekends, and I'm home almost every night.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say like as a dignitary, there's a standard that you live by.
There is a standard. The President of the United States. This president looks bad because Obama looks so good. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
If the last guy was a bumbling fool, then he was just saying, oh well, and then I'd be defending him against the other guy and stuff.
Yeah.
But Barack was so smooth and professional. You knew he was the leader of the United States. There was no question about it and stuff. And most presidents. And things. I'm not a big Bush fan and stuff, but
Yeah, this guy makes Bush look.
First of all, 41 was okay. 43.
Yeah, he make Bush look like.
He make Bush look good, bro.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing with this guy, they love him though.
You either love him or hate him.
Yeah, they love him.
Listen, I'll have a conversation in the morning with people when I'm getting a cup of coffee about how embarrassing this is, and then I'll see someone in Tom's River at lunch and stuff, and they'll talk about how they misunderstood him, they misquoted him, even though he said it, that's not what he meant.
Yeah.
So that's the two opposite ends and stuff. It's like, I don't think anyone shrugs their shoulder with our president.
Yeah.
You either like him or hate him, and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
But that's how you end up
45.
dividing everybody up. Too.
It is, absolutely.
But now, did you watch? I don't know if you watched this either because of the Fahrenheit 11/9. Did you hear about that? Or you saw Fahrenheit 9/11?
I didn't see it.
Never saw Fahrenheit 9/11? Oh, come on, man! All right, so back in 2001, right after the towers went down, or whatever, Michael Moore, he made this movie called Fahrenheit 9/11.
Like a documentary.
The documentary. So he made this documentary about the towers, and not like a conspiracy theory, but just he was kind of, pointing at Bush, like all the corruption and stuff that led to that. And so now he just made a documentary called Fahrenheit 11/9, talking about how Trump got elected and how he didn't really intend to be the president. And you gotta watch it. It's on Amazon. You gotta watch it too.
Okay.
Go on Amazon and watch it. It's so good,
I
man.
think tonight we're starting after this. Louis and I are going to start on True Detective.
Yeah, I gotta watch that too. The new one. Yeah.
The new one.
That Fahrenheit 11/9 is so good, man. Because he talks about how Trump really was only kind of started the whole election thing because he was mad at NBC for not paying them more on Apprentice.
Yeah.
And how it just snowballed.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
It is. But with the power of the vote, that's how he can get reelected.
Yeah.
People are sick of saying, I'm not going to vote.
Why do you think voting is so important, Mr. Grimes?
Because it represents the people. Ultimately, there's no kingdom here. There's no fiefdom. There's no shah. There's no.
Oh, you mean like a communist country?
Well, no, like a dictatorship.
Well, one thing they showed in that movie, and this is why I can understand why someone would say, you know what, I ain't voting. That's some bullshit. Because they actually showed when the Democratic convention when they decided on Hillary, they showed how the superdelegates stole it from Bernie Sanders.
I agree.
And
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they were showing each one of them call it. And he was like, yo, they lied. She lied. He lied. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And Bernie Sanders just had to go with it. And you see stuff like that, then it make a person feel like, man,
it can discourage.
It should.
Yeah.
But local politics is different than national politics.
Yeah.
You can make a big difference here. You get 50, 100 people together, that usually swings the vote.
Yeah.
Especially for councilmen or for the Board of Education.
Wow.
So all right, so say like we wanted to get some laws amended, or something amended? How we go through that process?
On a national level, on the state level?
No, just in the state.
Local.
Yeah, local.
For local, it's real easy. That's the time they're going to a council meeting makes sense. So you want to change something, you go there. Or like what's great in Atlantic City, and I credit a batch of Democratic assemblymen in North Jersey to help us. We knew that ultimately part of the state takeover was to get our water company, right? To get a company to buy it and things like that. So we were able, the final takeover gave us 1 year before they were allowed to make any decision on the water company. In that year, the people, really, outcry of people, not Democrats or Republicans, residents, said we're going to sign a petition that you cannot do anything with this water company until you bring it to the vote. So we have to vote whether we want to sell it or make it a utility or anything else, make it not an authority and stuff. And there was enough time, they got a couple thousand votes, and so they saved the water company. So that's
so the public saved the water.
The public saved the water company, absolutely. Vince Prieto, who was the Speaker of the Assembly, was with us, and he helped us delay it and things. He tried to stop it, but we just couldn't do it. When it came time for the vote for the takeover, they had to actually go with state troopers to bring some of the assemblymen and senators into the building because they were hiding, because they were afraid to vote for it, not to vote for it, because there was so much pressure. And they threatened to take away business and ruin their personal businesses and their family businesses. It was really dirty. That's when I realized how powerful these people are and how much money you can make in Atlantic City. Wow. That's what it was all about.
Alright. That gives an impression like there's certain people that's controlling the fate of Atlantic City.
Well,
and no matter what we do.
You know what happens is in Hudson County, in Essex County, in Camden County, you know who's in charge. They're political bosses and they run things. Atlantic City, Atlantic County is kind of open, so anybody can come in. There's no one protecting us, is what I'm saying. Things like that. So we don't have any of the big guys protecting us, and we don't have a big guy ourselves that protects us and things, and so that's what happens. Plus, there's a lot of money flows through Atlantic City, a lot of contracts. It's sad. Money talks.
Yeah. And the residents, what about the residents getting a piece of that?
Yeah, so, if you want to help Atlantic City the most, you need about 10,000 more people to move into Atlantic City, but they got to be working a workforce. Right. We can't have any more affordable housing. Not taking away any affordable. You can't keep on doing that and stuff. So people that put nothing into the community, they don't pay any taxes, want all the stuff for free. When you have more people that are paying taxes, then they're saying, what's this going to cost me? I love the idea, but what's the cost? And what's going to happen to my taxes and things? And that's what we don't have in Atlantic City. There's very few. It's only 12,000 homes.
My question is why did Atlantic City even allow it to get to the point where it was dependent on casinos?
Well, they had nothing else going for them. So once you got jet air service and people could go to Florida or the Caribbean for the same time and the same price they could come to Atlantic City, they did. So Atlantic City was dying in the 60s and the 70s, and they figured gaming was the solution. They did so much for Las Vegas, it would revive the city and things. And now it's easy to be the quarterback, the armchair quarterback, and say, well, you should have never allowed casinos to have restaurants, because if they didn't, then you'd have to go outside. They should have just had a buffet. And they shouldn't have had hotels. You should have had private hotels. Yeah. It's easy to say that now, but back then there was no one willing to come and do anything in Atlantic City.
Oh yeah, they didn't see the potential.
They didn't. So they forced casinos. You had to have 500 rooms initially. And initially you weren't allowed to have a parking garage. Then they changed and said you had to have parking garages. So those are the mistakes that we made. We should have made people that had jobs in casinos, executives, live in the city.
You don't see some of the regulations regarding when you was married. Like, this is so outdated and it's obsolete now. Because I seen some of the like with the vendors that was on Atlantic Avenue. Like, that's like so long ago, like the 1960s. They're still applying laws from the 1960s.
Yeah, I know. You just have to constantly change that. I mean, that's something every couple of years you had to be reviewing and things. And some things don't make any sense. Like, there was fees. You had to pay a permit to put vinyl siding on your house. Now, but why should that be? Is anyone going to check them put it? No. You're going to check when they start and when they finish, but you don't know whether it was put on properly.
But those issues never get addressed into the public.
Eventually,
Makes it an issue.
yeah, and that's where you're saying that sometimes the public does make a difference. That's
Right, okay.
Yeah, sometimes you got to point that out.
Yeah, and say like, listen, this is
Unacceptable. This is archaic, or this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I seen that myself. I'm like, why is that law still applicable in our time?
Right.
Yeah, because you know how they be like certain measurements.
No, I know. Yeah. How many feet back?
Like, what? Yeah. But that's some of the things. Yeah, but that's some of the stuff. Like, the problem with us is a lot of people aren't aware of how it works. Like, he
I know.
error.
No, I got it. Yeah, and plus every town's different. So most towns, the mayor is a part-time position in Atlantic County. So you elect the council, and then the council just selects one of themselves as the mayor, and the mayor runs council meetings. And then he serves as the mayor for ribbon cuttings and things like that. But there's an administrator that runs the actual town and stuff like that. So if that's the case, then you go to council because there's no one else to talk to. In Atlantic City case, it's actually a mayor that has the authority to do those things. What was going on?
I appreciate you coming on this. It's not like you had to, because a lot of times, especially with us, we be inviting all kind of people to come, and they don't ever want to come until they got something they want to promote
and running for office.
Yeah. I just want we just want to talk.
It annoys me listening to the radio now. When I go to towns, I usually switch to music right away. They can't. Geez, this guy's been on the radio for 3 years. Oh, it's election time. They're so interested in the community and the streets and the people that are nervous and the homeless. I was like, wow.
It's crazy because there's a lot of people that come in this barbershop, right? And I hear all kind of conversations, but you know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I used to always want to, like, I wish I had a camera in here all the time. You know what I mean? But then when you ask people to come, you're like, yo, can I turn the camera on? Be like, no. But to me, if you got integrity and you working for yourself, it shouldn't be no problem saying what's on your mind. Just say it. And I get in trouble. I'm not trouble. People complain all the time. Because I just say stuff, but I don't work for nobody.
Yeah, got it.
You know what I mean? And I don't have to answer to nobody. I'm gonna do what I want. You like it, don't like it. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing that I do respect about Trump. I don't agree with none of his politics, but the fact that he does this, look, this is what it is.
Yeah, he's very direct, and I don't say that some of the things aren't better because of him. And I gotta say, you gotta have some respect because the guy's been elected as president. So he's still president.
But I can see why that resonates with some people, because you get tired of hearing people
talk
like BS you. You know what I mean? And somebody just says, "Look, I'm putting your face, take it or leave it." And then I can see why somebody respects that. Now, the one thing that he did though, he brought out a lot of people that were really racist and was hiding it. It can't, like, there's one guy who and I've been cool with this guy since, like, I've been cutting hair now 24 years, right? So I had clients and I've been cutting since, like, I got it, like, I was in high school and stuff. One guy, he's a cop in Atlantic City, and I knew him way before he was a police officer, right? White dude, grew up in Atlantic City, he's married to a Puerto Rican one. Like, I always looked at him as a real progressive, forward-thinking guy, right? Yeah. But what I noticed about him, and I know there's a lot of white dudes like that, right? Like, when the ones I grew up with, the older they get, the more conservative they become. And as he got older, and him coming in here, and his priorities changed and stuff, this guy, like, we be on social media. If I post something about Trump and some of the nonsense he do, I never ever just, oh man, F this guy. He would get so offended Like, oh, like matter of fact, when we had the when Trump was mad at Kaepernick and them with the NFL, and that weekend when he made that comment like they need to leave the country, then all I did was post the article, and I said, "Yo, look, this guy's crazy." And he said, "That's right, Mr. President. They should all get out of this country." And I was like, I don't need this guy. Yeah. And, I mean, they did this stuff so. He took it so personal. Like he blocked me on social media. He don't come get his haircut no more.
Oh, bro, I'm sorry.
We didn't even argue.
But it's. I say the North is like the South over the last 20 years. What I mean by that is the South. You don't know how they feel. They're politically correct. Yeah. So in your face, it's one thing. They have a couple of beers, they loosen up, and you see the real South. Yeah. That's how the North is now. No one's using the N-word. Yeah. No one, you guys can use the N-word. The white guy's not using the N-word. Yeah. And you're very careful about what you say about religion and things like that. But you're not expressing your true feelings and things. And that's what's not good anymore and stuff like that. It's good to be diplomatic, but it's not good to be false. Just be
like put on your face.
Yeah, whatever you believe in and things like that. At some point, you should be able to say that.
Yeah, you should.